This episode of the Loud and Drunk podcast is brought to you by vacantcoffins.com. Miserable at your job? Wife hate you? Have all of your friends abandoned you? We have the solution to all of your problems. Here at vacantcoffins.com, we are proud to take care of all of your fake your own death needs. We file the police report, write the obituary, and notify your next of kin. Rest assured, while we have relocated you to your dream destination, we will comfort your grieving loved ones and, for an extra fee, ensure your wife moves on with our expert cuckold concierge. So don't delay. Vacant Coffins, America's #1 death defrauding company, will give you an afterlife even God would envy. Vacant Coffins, it's the dead right decision.
Wow.
Man, we are killing it with these sponsors.
Yeah, I'm way into this. Is there like a if I was concerned about somebody looking at my like search history, is there like another way to, you know what, we can talk after the show.
Based on the ad read, like I have not spoken with the company too much about all of what they offer.
Yeah.
That might be their, super secret squirrel like package. Like I think if you're trying to like scrub your browsing history, then you're getting the cuckold concierge that grieve your to take care of your wife when you're gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would like for my loved ones to be taken care of.
Yes.
For all that means. Yeah.
Also, by the way, brilliant name.
Yes, I love it.
Really is.
I love it.
Really is. I wonder how many ways I can play this too. If I hired this company, I wonder if I could just like tell them like, I've got a dear friend. His name is Dan, and he's probably gonna miss me. We've known each other a long time. Maybe just like send who you've got over to his house, and you just like answer your door one day, and
that would be so fun.
Like just play the chips where they lie, Dan. I'm not saying that you need to do something for me, though. You will presume that I am dead.
That would be so funny. They just send like this generic person and like, "Hi, I'm your new pal."
yeah. I think that's nice. Yeah. I was thinking a romantic partner, but we can go in that direction too.
Well, I mean, you never listen. You got to start off as friends.
Yeah. That's true. Build up the relationship.
Yeah,
that's
because
true.
If you're not going to woo me, then there's no future there.
Yeah, I know how much wooing you take.
But seriously, we will need those coffins.
We will.
It is. It's the holiday season. Black Friday just happened, and we're in the thick of like the shopping season.
We're in it.
And I know it's a trying time for you, Justin.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Fuck all of you. With love.
And I do have to say that Moses is not here with us. He unfortunately got his head stuck in a honey pot.
Again?
Yeah, it happens way too often.
It's shockingly often. Yeah.
And also,
this time it's pretty bad, too. They were talking about cutting off his ears at the hospital. I actually just left the emergency room.
Also, he's a diabetic.
Yeah.
Why is he getting his head stuck in honey pots?
Well, I mean, how did he become a diabetic? I think is the real question you should be asking.
But you, sir, you must be having some issues with the Black Friday season as well.
Yes, Alejandro, as always. And I mean, I don't love it. For myself, my business is, when I'm not doing this podcast, I ship things online. So it's a busy time of year, profitable time of year. I certainly can't knock that. But everything else about this weird, capitalistic American holiday that we have, which follows Thanksgiving and precedes Christmas, is absolutely awful in every way. For me to get here to our little studio, that took me about maybe 50% longer than usual. Wow. People are this weird type of like, the way that I usually describe it is that this time of year, it brings out a sentiment in people where they have like a camaraderie with you as a stranger, where they want to reflect upon really the spirit of the holiday,
I thought it was mutual suffering.
Yeah, right. Well, I think that is kind of it. Yeah. But people do want to, like, they are kind. Like people say, people say Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all of these things. And so it does bring out in these many ways, it brings out these positive things in your fellow man that you wouldn't experience the rest of the year, at least here in New Jersey. At the same time, people experience an extreme level of anxiety, which if you do step over that boundary with them, accidentally or whatever your case may be, you will get a much more vitriolic reaction. And so, like for myself, it's that, the traffic is terrible. People are dickheads on the road. But when you step into a convenience store, they're like, oh, hey, happy holidays to you. And that might have damn well been the same person that just like threatened to murder your children as like, because you like changed lanes and turned your blinker on too late.
Can I make
something like that?
A quick note about the traffic in this area? for this time of year, the cops literally changed the traffic patterns because people trying to get into it. This is an area just full of shopping, not malls, but like strip mall type things.
Yeah, strip malls everywhere.
And they have to literally change the flow of traffic because it backs up through the lights.
Yeah.
Anywhere,
which is poor planning.
Yeah.
You know, it's their fault. It's
in this town, there's that plaza where like ShopRite is.
Yeah.
They have to block off an entire entrance. You can still go in that.
I know the area that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But like they do this, and it started a month ago.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah. Beginning of November.
It's everything becomes too much this time of year.
We run into this situation too, where like the Christmas season starts earlier and earlier. The last time we talked about Christmas, I was like, well, it starts, July 5th.
Right, yeah, practically.
And so what happens is people just get like, as you guys were already mentioned, like they're all stressed out because they're like, oh, I got to get this, for gifts and all that stuff for Christmas. And then what we run into, I'm the type of person where I'm getting everybody what they get. Like via Amazon, to your chagrin.
Yeah, but
I just don't want to be stuck at like the mall on like Christmas Eve. Like, oh shit, didn't get my sisters or my mom or my dad something this year.
So there's a big change that happened, and Amazon is largely part of that. Where say I don't know, but I remember like 10 plus, maybe like 15 years ago, the thing was, you went to the store at like 4:00 in the morning on like Black Friday.
I remember that.
And lines would be wrapped around the stores because they were selling a printer for $100 off or something.
Right, imagine that.
Great deal on HDMI cables.
Yeah.
Well, unrelated, I'm sorry, but somebody told this is a grievance. It doesn't have anything to do with Black Friday. But somebody told me to fax them something today. And I almost like I had like such. Like, this is just a regular fucking, like, phone operator that I was talking to, and I became so angry. It was like, I, like, internally, and this all happened in, like, 3 seconds, but I, like, had to stop myself from saying something horrible to another person who did nothing to deserve the shitty things that I was about to say.
My brain would go to fax, but I haven't seen a fax machine since I was in Japan.
Yeah.
My brain immediately goes to, I'm like, shit, I got to go to Staples now.
Yeah.
That's the only place that I know.
I'm so glad they didn't say that to me. But yes, I do hear what you're saying, Justin. Yes. I do remember this time where it was a real thing. Black Friday was a much more physical thing.
Yeah.
Now so much of it happens on the internet, which I'm happy for. Though it doesn't, to me, it doesn't seem like the traffic is less, but it's hard to really judge that because you remember a year over a year, not in a real way. You remember it insofar as you feel like you remember it, But it's more of a feeling than that.
But we're also in an area where there's like a pretty substantial mall. So there's going to be people that still go there to try.
We're in a very congested area.
Yeah. It's New Jersey.
Yeah.
If you don't live, contrary to what many people think, New Jersey does have rural areas, but most of the people in New Jersey live in the parts of New Jersey that you imagine.
Yeah.
They're fairly dense, tremendous suburbs. So, like, the areas that we're talking about, I live in a more rural area now. Fucking God bless. That said, I can't fucking buy shit there. I have to drive to one of the more urban areas, which is probably the same thing that everybody in this country has to deal with, that you have to go to a more urban area and then deal with that shit because they ain't building Walmarts, and shopping malls in rural towns like what I live in.
Right.
They build them in dense areas, or at least surrounding dense areas, that type of thing.
Black Friday also has this weird position as like it's a pseudo holiday. Like it's conveniently
it's so weird.
It's a capitalist holiday.
Yeah, it's a capitalist holiday, but it's not recognized by certain entities. Like you work.
Absolutely. I've only had one Black Friday off in my life.
Yeah, so you don't get the day off.
No.
But I had the day off.
Wow.
It's one of those weird holidays where it's just like it's not a holiday, but it could be.
It's an unspoken holiday, and I mean to be the nerd historian that I am. Most holidays originated that aren't like classical pagan holidays, because it's like Christmas is really just a celebration of the solstice. You figure that Easter is really just a celebration of the equinox. We have 4 pagan holidays, and everybody on this entire fucking planet for, times immemorial has celebrated them. Because you're just celebrating that this is a moment where the sun is doing a unique thing from our perspective. And all of the other holidays are things that were made up that happened over time where you're celebrating it very often in secrecy from your government, And in this case, it's like an open secret that the government supports, but it's not a real holiday.
Yeah, fucking Catholic Church and Hallmark.
Yeah, there you go, exactly. Working together.
It always used to drive me crazy, and excuse me if I said this last year, but like I like Thanksgiving as a holiday. I spent Thanksgiving just watching football, drinking gin, and hanging out with my family. It's a pretty decent time.
I think I call it a fairly low impact holiday.
Yeah.
It's like a hang holiday with like the people that you hopefully care about.
Yeah.
Native Americans, I agree.
And then I always hated the idea. It's like, oh, hey, by the way, like I ate my turkey. All right, I'm getting in line. Like,
Right.
what the fuck, bro?
Well, that's what it used to be.
Well, that goes back to it's. I view that, and by all means, disagree with me, but like to me, that just smacks of the way in which we obviously live in like the pinnacle of a capitalistic consumer culture. And corporations that have obviously a lot of sway in this culture, even if we want to avoid it, you're always susceptible to it. I definitely am, you know. And when they see something that isn't profitable, they try and figure out, how do I make it profitable?
Yeah.
Look at how Halloween used to not be a real thing. Like, yeah, like fucking candy companies would make money, but nobody else was.
Right.
You know, and then they basically sat down, you know, and I've actually read about like that these very intelligent people who were working for the Walmarts of the world, where they got like great marketing directors. And they were just like, listen, what we need to do is create these giant fucking sculptures for your front yard and make Halloween into a thing where you need to buy something that's bigger than what your
A
neighbor
12-foot skeleton.
Yeah,
Which seems
and
to
we're
be
all
the thing.
susceptible to it, you know, because I don't personally own those things, but like we all have friends that do, and I think that they are awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, like they are really cool to look at, but that's marketing, you know, like that didn't exist before. And so when you look at things like a Black Friday, it's a way of capitalizing on Thanksgiving, which is a very difficult holiday to capitalize on.
Yeah.
You know,
It's essentially like the turkey market goes up.
Yeah,
And that's about it.
and that's
Mashed
it.
potatoes goes through the roof.
yeah.
And also, like
Buy potatoes. Everybody's on the stock exchange. Potatoes.
Stuffing.
like the big thing is too is like getting points at ShopRite to get your free turkey.
Yeah.
It's like
all
crazy.
it's all about capitalizing on that. And it just goes back to that idea that we don't do anything that isn't about making money, which is such a barbarism of what the holiday is supposed to be about, which obviously I think we all know, you know, is like Thanksgiving is a bullshit holiday, you know, that negates what it's really talking about. But it's that it's supposed to be, at least if you look at it at just paper value, it's supposed to be about appreciating people that you love, you know, appreciating other human beings.
That's pretty much what every holiday is supposed to be. Like Christmas, it's just like you can do the whole religious thing, but at the end of the day, it's just hanging out with your family.
Yes.
Like it's supposed.
But what did you buy them?
Yes, exactly. That's what that is. That's what that's become. Thanksgiving is at least a little bit of a safe haven. It's like, all right, at least you got a turkey. Like, we're not doing anything else other than eating a turkey. There's some people who are like, well, I make a ham. And I'm like, all right, you fucking communist. All right.
I made a beef roast. Call me what you want.
Well,
I enjoy ham, Dan.
beef is ham is not bad.
See him doubling back on it now?
And beef, I approve. Anything that's red meat is fine.
yeah.
But like, it's a goddamn turkey holiday. Let's
Fine. We still had a turkey.
Yeah, you just if you want to have other options, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. But it always bugged me. Excuse me. It always bugged. And also, like that's the funny thing about these holidays too. Like when you have Thanksgiving, that's a football holiday.
Yep.
So that's great. Like Black Friday, I always like celebrating it with leftovers, like with the second turkey leg.
I've literally been eating turkey since I got here.
Yeah.
And I think you know that, Dan.
Yes.
You've been watching me do it.
I think of that
A little
as
sleepy.
like, for me, a turkey sandwich.
Yeah.
Like whatever. That's a leftover turkey, like, and I know not everybody, but like mayo, salt, lettuce, tomato, white bread.
I don't do mayo because I got
know.
a little bit of color in my blood.
Yeah.
But I would do I would do like barbecue sauce
Yeah.
because you can't because like the turkey is a little bit dry the next day.
It always is.
Yeah, white meat is.
I would do the
incredibly
barbecue
dry.
sauce style,
Yeah.
which probably has like the equivalent of mayo in it. It's mostly sugar and fat. So I'm just getting it's like baby raised, you know.
Oh, sweet
I'm not-
baby Ray.
I'm not doing anything fancy.
Not a sponsor.
No.
That's why I like the legs because they're dark meat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, those get eaten the day of. Yeah. Me and my brother polish those off.
Those are really good. But I always like having the leftovers and having a full day of college football. But now there's an NFL game because there's always an NFL game now.
Yeah.
And I went to, sponsor of the show at a point, Stonefire on Black Friday. And I went there. I'm like, oh,
I thought you were looking at your coffin.
no, I was looking at my coffin after that.
Oh, gotcha. But yeah, Stonefire.
Yeah, went to Stone.
Still love you guys.
Yeah. went to Stonefire, and I'm like, oh, that's right. I live in the Northeast. Every single TV is just going to have this one fucking NFL game on, and like I'm just trying to watch Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I know you guys don't care.
No, I know, but leave it to the NFL to fuck up everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I was talking about that on Thanksgiving with my family as well. It's like Christmas was a basketball holiday.
Yes, it was.
It was just on, what was it, NBC?
NBC.
You usually get a pretty good matchup. It was like Lakers, Kings, or maybe like the Knicks and the Bulls or something like that.
I distinctly remember that, especially when I was a kid and I was very much into the NBA.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And now the NFL is like, nah, they've had it too good for too long. And the NFL pokes their head out into that. And it just becomes like, all right, well, listen, I like the NFL more than I like the NBA. I've given up on the NBA like, what was it, 24 fucking years ago? But I enjoy all of that. But also at the same time, it loses the uniqueness of it too. It's like, all right, well, Christmas, I didn't really watch a whole lot of sports. Maybe there was, at one point in 1996, Navy won its first bowl game in a while.
Oh, Dan, come and sit around here by the fire.
That was my one moment on a Christmas holiday, to deviate a little bit.
Right.
Is, like when you're, at one point the magic is gone. Like, all right, I don't really give a shit about these gifts anymore. Like, I'm with family and all that stuff. It was 1996. It was the Aloha Bowl. With
Of
Navy
course it was.
Yeah.
Of course it was.
11-year-old Dan just wants to watch Navy play California in Hawaii. What do you people not understand about this?
And what was Michael Jordan doing for this?
I don't know. I wasn't watching the NBA.
I remember a blizzard happened.
I'm sorry, I heard 1996.
All of those equate into how I see the holidays. Like, all right, Thanksgiving, I'm watching football with the family, having a couple drinks, having a good old time. My family also does this weird thing now, and it's actually quite enjoyable. I think you guys would like this. I don't think I've actually told you this, even off mic. They do these weird tastings.
Interesting.
So
Go on.
this year was milk and chocolate.
What?
Yes. And I saw the list. Do I still have that? It was airdropped to me. But
I am so curious.
Yeah. I feel like I'm getting more lost.
It was a variety of milks. So I could probably do it off the top of my head. 1%, 2%, skim, whole.
Why?
Raw?
What's happening?
And then almond, soy, oat. And then you didn't know which one was which. So you had to taste it. And then all right, that number one was oat milk or something like that.
Okay.
So it was a whole taste. I don't know what anybody won either. 'Cause I was listen, I am not going to be subject to the science
I feel
experiment.
like Dan imagined this.
No.
And it never happened.
And then there was a chocolate aspect to it too, which the list that that didn't get airdropped.
Okay.
There's dark chocolate and milk chocolate, and that's really it.
No, that was
Well, I'm not saying there's not other types. I'm just saying that those are the types that you can discern.
Yeah, that
by
was
taste.
it was a substantial list. I spent most
Chipotle.
Listen, this is a thing that they do now.
Okay.
I haven't participated in it because I'm
Sure.
listen, that's a little too fancy for me. We're doing a tasting. I don't care that it's of milk.
I'm sorry, a tasting of milk is one of the most bananas ass fucking
Honestly,
things I've ever
I didn't know where you were going to go with that. I was going to say it's the whitest thing I've ever heard. That is the whitest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I know your family, and I love you all. That is the whitest thing I've ever heard in my life. Maybe a yogurt tasting would be more white.
Wait a minute. A mayo tasting.
Oh my God! Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
But there are those traditions to those holidays, and
Sure.
those are slowly leaving, as we're alluding to. Even though Black Friday, I don't really consider it a real holiday because to me it was just leftovers in college football.
Yeah.
It used to be for people oh, hey, go out to the Best Buy, which is now closed down.
and so part of my job, I've been in the postal for 20 years now. Back then, the big thing was we had to make sure we got all the sales papers out before Thursday because we were off Thursday. And the sales papers, at least around here, would come out on Thursday. And the sales papers for Black Friday used to be an inch thick.
I believe that.
For every fucking house because every store would be having some sort of Black Friday sale.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted to know what the doorbusters would be, essentially. It'd always be whatever was last year's thing would be $100 off, like an Xbox or a PS3 or
Some sort of a
something.
perceived deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Or a camera and then it became
Remember cameras?
yeah. But that's what it was. People of TVs.
Are there any deals on fax machines this year? There's a bank that really needs me to send them some documents, and I have no means to do that.
I don't know because there isn't a Black Friday mailer anymore because Black Friday has been essentially kind of replaced. Well, I mean, there's even a name for it was Cyber Monday, but now Cyber Monday and Black Friday are the same fucking thing now.
I was thinking about this. This is like a divergence. I was just thinking about this like randomly today. That like, and I understand like the history and why it's called this, but like, it's funny to me that it's like a time capsule that we refer to it as Cyber Monday.
Right.
Because when that name came out, we were still new to the internet. And so like everything was cyber something.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like now I hear like if you put cyber in front of anything else, like cyber car, I'm like, awesome. It's a transformer. It's not just like a regular car that has electronics in it, you know. But really when you're talking about Cyber Monday, it's just the same thing. It's just on the internet.
It's just the word
extension.
cyber is just so lawnmower man to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It like really gives like it gives a vision though. That's a cyber person. Oh my God. How high can they jump? 50 feet, 60? It's a $6 million man. Now I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
But there's also an extension to that too, isn't it? Like Giving Tuesday or some shit like that.
I have heard that.
It's like a half-ass fucking phoned-in bullshit.
Isn't it also supposed to be like whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday? It's like, oh, this is the day where you shop at local businesses.
Well, that I believe it's Small Business Saturday. I
Yes.
know this
Oh,
because
okay.
I own a small business.
Yeah.
And people do like kind of do that. It's really just an extension of how people want to buy things.
Yes.
Because again, I'll always bring it back to that. It's a consumer culture,
Yep.
and we do these things because of the nature of what we are and what we do. The Small Business Saturday it creates a lot for my business. I'll say that. You'll see an uptick of like 50%.
No kidding.
So there are people who take it very seriously, as it's been implied. I avoid all businesses, big and small, for the entirety of the season. I don't believe in consumerism. But there are a lot of people who like, and I imagine it's the same type of person who's like waiting still to this day outside of a Best Buy, you know, on Friday morning. It's the same person who's waiting outside of my shop on a Saturday morning. So, I mean, I can't knock it because at least they're, you know, people like that are thinking, you know, they're trying to do something which is not completely leaning towards the one side of the economy, which is dominant. That said, it's all kind of like, I despise all of it.
Well, it's the weird kind of amalgamation of like, hey, this is the beginning of the shopping season.
Yeah.
So you just got to like, hey, this is when all the deals are. Better shop now and get it all done now.
Yeah. And I'll say that too. And like, I don't know if you guys experience this, but like for myself personally, I say to myself, and I feel like this is like to a degree, like a universal sentiment from the conversations that I have at the random bars and whatnot that I go to, that I say every single year that I'm going to get my gift shopping done for the time period. I only shop for like 2 or 3 people. My mother, the immediate person who I take interest in, my loved ones, and my cat maybe. He's easy to shop for. But for me, it's very easy, and yet I still find myself drifting up towards the date, and I haven't done any of these things. I feel like it sneaks up, and so for this reason, I do understand how people want a date that says, "Hey, you need to do it."
Yeah,
you know. Because, like, I kind of say that to myself through October, November, and then all of a sudden it's Black Friday. I'm like, oh, my God, I didn't do any of the things that I said I was going to do. Like, I really do need to do them. And my mother's birthday is on the 18th of December.
Oh,
so I get a double whammy on that. You know? So the next time you're bitching, Dan.
that used to be a thing that I did when I was younger. It was always my mission statement to get all of the Christmas shopping done before Thanksgiving. Because that was like, hey, you avoid all of the rush. But then also at the same time, I have 2 younger sisters that were kind of like the objective because they were like at that point they were small. So
of course, yes.
Like I will say this until the day I die. Like, Christmas is a holiday for children. Like you get your stuff, you can get your stuff for your loved one, wife, girlfriend, whatever. But effectively, all of the magic is seeing like the kids run down the steps and seeing all the gifts and like, oh.
And you can give a kid. This is the other thing. This is why I dislike the consumerism. Then, so I'll tie in with that. I agree with you. But you could give a fucking child just about anything because what they're excited about is the actual. They're excited about that it's a gift.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it really is.
And the wrapping paper, and they're hoping for that one specific.
The whole show.
They're doing the exact same thing as what we talk about as adults, where it's like, you know, I personally don't feel like I'm struggling for money right now, though I did once. And so there was a time where it's like my mother could have given me something very meaningful. like where I couldn't afford it, you know? Like she would have bought me like a fucking, I don't know, I'm just going to throw shit out there. But like a fucking hot water heater because mine busted,
Right,
you know?
right.
And I've been bathing in cold water for a while, you know? And it's like, and
That's been my week.
Yeah, yeah, that has been your week, actually. My condolences. But I think that really what it comes down to is that it's about the experience. And as adults, I find myself much more so when I do have money to spare, when that happens for me, I'm much more so interested in the experience than I am in the tangible item.
Yeah.
If I've got a couple hundred extra bucks, I'm thinking more so about like the bar that I'm going to go to than I am about like buying a bigger TV.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not where I'm at.
So, like, for myself and my siblings, a couple years ago, like, what are we doing? Because, like, this whole gift thing, it's like we're just getting each other things that we're all fine. Once myself and my siblings all became, like, fine, and we're all adults.
Yeah.
We're like, let's not do this anymore.
Yeah. If somebody needs something, then you buy it for them.
Right.
But if you don't need something, and honestly, like I very much so, I'm like, what do they call it? Like very Spartan about things.
Sure.
To a degree. Don't get me wrong. I get my luxuries. But it's like, but you really don't need that much. Like if you got a roof over your head and you got some clothes and some food, then beyond that, it's all luxuries.
Yeah.
You know?
Mostly, like, I get shit from my niece and nephew, and that's kind of it. I guess I still get something from mom and dad, and I yell at them if they get me anything.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way.
But like, fuck off.
I'll say this with my nephew Levi. I don't buy him gifts because I have no idea what the fuck he wants. So
Yeah,
you know, because he's just living his own life, and
Yes.
honestly, he's living so much better than we are.
It's a challenge to buy something for a niece or nephew, especially if you're not around that child a whole lot, because you're like, all right, what are you into? Like,
I
what
buy
do you
him like if I'm like out, if I'm like at a flea market or some shit, and I see like a weird fucking like frog sculpture, I'm like, oh man, he's gonna love this. And it's like $5.
Yeah.
You know, so it's no big deal. But like mom and a man, my sister and my mother, they'll buy him proper gifts. And very often it'll come up that they've gotten him something that he did actually want. Like he voiced wanting it. And then he's more interested in like the wrapping for it.
Yeah.
You know? Or something completely that we would consider mundane when you look at the actual
It's a whole for kids, especially when they're young. It's like the whole thing. It's the wrapping. It's the whatever
it's the
whatever it
experience.
is. It
It's
is
the experience. For example, in this case, he's 5 years old. He doesn't have any concept or desire to travel the world.
Yes.
Right.
He doesn't want to go on a cruise.
Right.
These are things that have no interest for him. You know, if I offered, you know, some random fucking schmuck on the street who's 40 years old, would you like to go on a cruise? Would you like to, you know, go and visit, you know, Southeast Asia, this type of thing? They'd be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, that's very valuable to them. For him, this is not valuable in any way. So instead, he wants very tangible things that he can relate to. But he can also get so much enjoyment out of these completely mundane things that we, unfortunately, I would say, have like lost vision of.
Right.
Almost, you know? And in this regard, and this is part of like my reason for hating that aspect of our consumerism, you know, like the way that we live kind of now, is that like I completely get that because I buy myself toys, you know, in the same way as like my sister, my mother will buy him stuff. And it's like, I'll buy myself like a TV. And like, I just did this, as a matter of fact, like a couple of weeks ago. I moved into a house. I had no TV there. So I bought myself a fucking giant TV. And I was like, 'cause I'm way into movies. So I was like, this is awesome. And I set it up, and like I had nobody to watch it with. So I was like chilling by myself. So I was just like, all right, this is boring. And I walked outside, and I was like, I'm gonna start a fire. And I literally like used the cardboard box that it came in, and I set a fire outside, and I'm just like poking at it. And that's literally the garbage that came with the TV. And I had such a great time. I was just drinking some whiskey, and I was chilling outside in the backyard. I had a fire going, you know, and it's like I'm getting rained on, you know, and I'm like, better not set the trees on fire, you know. And that was it. It was free.
Yeah.
You know, the enjoyment that I got was free, basically. Yeah. And I have like a fucking $600 TV sitting in the house that I didn't care about at all, you know? And I find myself being like a 5-year-old in that regard, you know, in the best way.
Right. I try to be, and I have gotten better about it because I bought a small house. I only have so much room for stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, especially after, like, Christina moved in some years ago, it was just like, we have way too much stuff. This was just my stuff in this house. Now it's mine and your stuff in this house.
Yeah.
We need to not get new stuff. We need to get rid of stuff.
Yeah. Some of the stuff got to go. Yeah. I completely got that.
In that regard of your point, that was the point that I was going to make. Like shopping for a child, whether it's your niece, nephew, in my case, my sisters, is they are a wild card. So if I try to get them something for Christmas before Thanksgiving, I could get sideswiped with like, oh, I want this and I want this and I want this. And I'm like, I am your brother. I buy you exactly one thing for Christmas.
Yeah.
So, and it's already bought. So
Here's an 8-ball.
Yeah.
Have fun.
So try again next year.
I will also say this: like, I have this agreement, and it also goes to birthdays too, or
Yeah.
with my siblings. Like, we don't do that. But if I come across something that moves me in a way that I think like one of my siblings, well, I'll buy it for him then and there.
Yeah.
I'll give it to him
If
as a gift, then
I'm a terrible gift giver in that regard, where if
Yeah.
I buy something for you and I might like think to myself, like, I'd like to save this for
Oh,
an
no, never.
appropriate
Can't do
time.
it.
But I'm just going to give it to you
Yeah.
right here and now. I'll give this because my brother will probably listen to this podcast. It is some
Hi, Ed.
real bullshit that we had an agreement for so many years where like we were not going to give each other gifts. And then he decided to give me one. And this was about 3 years ago. Him and his very lovely wife, Mo, decided to give me, I don't even know what the fuck it was. It was something stupid, some bullshit. Probably like a sign that says like spoiled cats live here. some nonsense, some ridiculous bullshit. And we entered into, I don't know if I've spoken about this on the podcast before, but regardless, now we're engaged in this like battle. As
it's
you guys
warfare.
know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fucking warfare.
It's proper warfare. Yeah, where we get each other gifts, but they're malicious. They're like, and that's, I kind of love it, where it's like that I'm going to give you a gift that makes your life worse. You know? 'Cause I feel like it draws attention to the idea of like, what is the nature of this holiday? You know? Because like we both love doing it. But yeah, in this case, for the previous year, he actually really beat me for it. I had one-upped him with a 55-gallon drum filled with concrete, and there were some shooters in there of liquor. And the previous year, he responded to that one with, it was a small safe from Harbor Freight, I believe. And it was filled with a 2-part epoxy. Yeah, I guess I didn't tell you about this.
No.
one. Yeah,
No.
It was a small safe. Yeah, maybe about maybe like a foot wide. You know, half a foot tall.
Oh, like one of those little fire safe things.
One of those little guys. Yeah. And he filled it with a 2-part epoxy, and there were some shooters in there, like, or not even shooters. I'm sorry. It was Corona cans.
Oh, wow.
Corona cans. Because I occasionally enjoy a Corona.
Yeah.
So those were in there. And so like I got to the bottom of it and I was like, you motherfucker. And I started to cut into it with like all the tools. I have a fucking angle grinder and shit out. You know, I'm like fucking myself up trying to get it out of there. And then there was concrete mixed in with it that wasn't fully cured. Anyways, I broke my grinder and then I busted through the cans. So I got nothing out of it. So if he's listening, what I did this year is that I have a proper welding company assembling a sphere. No less than 3/4 inch of hardened steel. It's gonna be a to-do. Because when I look at this holiday, this gift-giving experience that we have in this world, and the ways in which we're trying to signal to that's really the element of it. Because the way that it originated is that I want to just tell people how much I love them, right? That's the point of Thanksgiving and Christmas and the whole holiday season. I love you, and we'll spend some time together. And then capitalism set in, and it became, well, let me buy you something, right? And then me, at least in my family, we got past that.
I
We're like, you know
I do
what?
love your very interesting tradition.
We got past that. And we said, you know what? We recognize that this is just like conspicuous consumerism. It's just about buying shit. We don't need to do that. And then my brother chose to be a piece of shit and just be like, you know what? I'm going to do that shit again. And then we escalated to this point of violence. And I love that now we're able to share our love with each other through that perspective of really an ultimate horror, where how far can this go before you have to harm yourself to get to the gift that I've given you?
I've watched this for several years now, and I assume it only ends in doomsday devices.
Yeah. The escalation is so real because we always have to one-up each other. Yeah.
Also, in your situation too, it would only work specifically for you and your brother.
How's that?
Because you are the type of people that it's not about the gift. It's about the journey.
And that's my point, is that it was never about the gift. The gift, even when the gift was original in our culture, the gift was about showing the person how much you thought about them. And when my brother gets this hardened steel sphere, he will know how much effort and how much time and how much money I put into giving him this thing that he will lose his life trying to get inside of.
Just becomes the movie Saw. Yeah.
It really is. It's escalating that way. And honestly, I was very loathing like giving this to him. He hasn't gotten it yet. So I hope this podcast comes out after after he's received it. But I loathe the idea that I might get his return fire because it's gonna be like an IED. Where it's like I lose my arms trying to like get a shooter of whiskey, because it's never about the gift. It's about the journey.
We all know it's gonna be Rumple.
I hope so.
My point is that that is perfect for you and your brother. If I did that when my brothers broke our detente in gift giving, because they did that, I'm like, I did not factor that in.
No.
We all had an agreement. I was not going to get you anything, and you were not going to get me anything.
Yeah.
And we were done.
Yeah.
And then you got me Team USA jerseys, which I very much appreciate, but son of a bitch, now I have to get you something.
That is the thing, too. There's always somebody that breaks the agreement.
Yeah.
And fuck you.
Edward.
Like, I live by the code, like, listen, you have daughters, I have nothing. So I will get your children something.
Yeah.
And that is effectively my gift to you.
Right.
Because your kids will appreciate the gift, or it will help you out because your child is young and grows out of clothes every week.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll get your daughter something, and you'll have clothes for a week.
The gift should be about showing your appreciation for the person.
Yes.
And the way in which we've gotten it wrong in this modern culture is that it's about how much you spend and where you got it and the name brand and things like that.
Yeah.
It should just be about the fact that you love this person and so on and so forth.
But
For myself, it's in the form of that I will harm my brother because I love him that much.
And in your case, it doesn't necessarily have to be
I will.
on any sort of timeline, too. Like, you don't have to wait for Black Friday to, like, I can start creating this doomsday device.
I had to build up several relationships to be able to get these. I'm basically building a nuclear bomb without, like, the fissile material.
We're just kidding, Spotify.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We're in the red. We're not affording physical material.
Yeah, that's true. A lot went into this, though.
We could barely afford this board.
Yeah.
But the whole point is that for your situation, yes, obviously the thought process is what should count. But also at the same time, you are accurate in saying, like, oh, now it's become this, that, and the other thing about how much you spend. When you have that kind of like thought process with your kin, that's actually kind of like taking away from it because you're like, listen, we weren't supposed to, like, I was thinking of you by not getting you something.
The gift should be a representation of the feeling and not the other way around.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be about the thing that you got. I've gotten a lot of gifts from, it's like my mother insists upon giving me gifts.
Yeah.
She gives me a hard time every year.
Yep.
That I don't ask her for anything. And she asks me, like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't
need anything.
Yeah.
And she gives me a very hard time about it. And so she gives me gifts that I don't really want.
Yeah.
But it's that she wanted to do that, and it's an expression of love. So it's not about the thing itself. It's more so just about that feeling. I mean, again, I'm giving Ed something that he doesn't want. He very much so doesn't want this. He wishes that I didn't give this to him, but he's going to get it because I love him.
He's going to get it real
dearly.
good.
He's going to get it real good. But I feel like that's the essence of it, and that's what we've lost, And it becomes more so just about, like, what did you buy? How expensive was it? And you have to, like, think about what other people want. And the truth of it is that you shouldn't be obligated to really, I mean, like, honestly, it sounds crass, but, like, you shouldn't really have to consider what somebody else wanted.
Well,
they can buy that for themselves.
It should be something of a gift because of, like, the agreement that our gift to each other is we're not going to stress out because we're already stressed out about getting gifts for these other people.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that I truly, and you've said it well right there. I was fumbling for the words before. That's what I dislike about the entirety of the season, which initiates with Black Friday. It's that people feel such a pressure to buy the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's not on you.
No.
You don't need to do that. If you know somebody, if a member of your family, a loved one, doesn't have enough money to buy something, then you probably know what they need.
Right.
If it's food, if it's clothing, if it's whatever, help with the rent, then obviously then you know what you should do and you should do that. But if it's somebody that's gotten by on, like, the basics, that they're doing okay, and now you're just buying them, like, a fucking TV or a fucking new towel or a fucking polo shirt, some stupid bullshit, then you don't need to do any of that. You're buying it for you so that you can show them that you care. It's not actually helping them in any way. And if it does help them, then great, but it doesn't need to. That's not the purpose of the gift. It's about showing somebody else that you care about them. And that's what's lost in these holidays. And that's because it's a domination of corporations.
And, like, here's the thing I like to do, because, like, I mean, friends giving gifts as adults is weird to me.
Yeah.
especially if you're all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I like to create experiences. We'll have a hang. I'll get a bunch of booze and beer and food, and we'll hang out. It'll be a good time because experiential stuff. I like experiential stuff. I like memories from that.
I can get you a steel sphere too.
I know. I'm good. I'm good.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, I know. But tapping back into the Black Friday thing, there's also culturally a thing of like the couponers, those people that need to have the deal.
Yeah.
It's a deal. I need to have it. You don't necessarily need the thing. It's like somebody like, oh, if I use 5 of these coupons, I can get 27 gallons of oil.
Yeah.
I don't need it, but I'll be stocked up because it's a great deal.
That's like, I know somebody, probably more than one, but one stands out in the mind, where they'll buy something and I'll criticize it and they'll say, but I saved $800.
Right.
And I'll be like, but you didn't need a second refrigerator. Like, you already have a fridge. What are you doing with this? You know,
But
like,
you
you just spent $3,000. Like, I don't care how much you saved.
But it was a great deal.
That seems like that's have you guys heard of the concept of girl math?
Probably. I don't.
Heard of it.
Yeah.
It seems like that's like the precursor to girl math.
Okay.
The person I was talking about was a man, just to be clear.
No, I'm just saying though, because obviously like the coupon thing and trying to get the deal is something like, you know, guys
it's
do
hunting
that.
the deal.
Yeah.
And it's just like when Black Friday comes, it's like for those people, it's like I need everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a deal.
That's how consumerism works.
Yeah.
But seeking the deal, using coupons and all that stuff, it reminded me of the girl math thing. Where it's
Okay.
just like, if I paid for it in cash, it's free because I took it out already and it's just there. It's just like, I have had this explained
It's
to me.
times like this where it's like, I really do feel my Judaism.
You're having a flare up right now?
Yeah, I'm definitely, my skin is itching.
Well, it was on sale, so it was actually like free because it was on sale and I was able to save this amount of money. And since I saved that amount of money, it paid for itself. It's like, that's not.
And since you saved $800, you can spend $800 now on something else that you want.
Yes, that's exactly it.
It's a perfect site. It's an internal economy.
Yes, it's a self-sustaining economy.
And also
The money keeps
you also
flowing.
have the hustlers too that will buy the shit, hold on to it, and then sell it when it's on eBay or whatever when it's at its most valuable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the game I should be in.
Well, I mean,
As a Jew.
that is a dedication game, and I've known people that have done.
I don't have that patience. Never mind. I take it back then. As my attorney, you should have stopped me.
But these people have storage units, and they'll buy all the door busters. Go to all the stores. They can just buy whatever the door busters are. Sit on them for like 9 months in a storage locker, and then start uploading them to like eBay and shit
It
like
just
that.
seems like I'm just hearing you describe it. And
It is annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's scalping.
Yeah. It's scalping. Yeah.
What I was going to say too, to kind of tie it into like what you do for you and your brother and what you do as well. Instead of being like, sometimes I'll just ask like, you know, my brother, like, hey, what do your girls want? Or what?
Yeah.
I asked my my other brother, since his daughter is particularly young, like a little over a year old. Hey, what does she need? What do you need for her?
Right.
And that's a pretty practical question. For most other people, other than maybe my kid's sisters, where I'm just kind of like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And it's always a need for them, like money. It's like, yeah.
Fair.
And it's
I
just
guess.
Got that edge, Dan.
But I tend to ask people, like, I'll use an example, my mom. What do you need?
Right.
Like, is there anything in particular you need for the house, or like you're working on something for the shop? Like, do you need something? And she'll, like last year, I think it was like a Ring camera or something like that. I need a Ring camera to see who's trying to get in my house or something like that. That's the practicality of it. It's like, I'm not necessarily like trying to find the gift and think of that person.
No, yeah.
Because it's like, listen, let's just cut the fucking bullshit and just like, hey, give me a roadmap to what you actually need
even
for
that,
this holiday season.
What you're describing is that you are going to give these people a gift.
Yes.
Because you do believe in the tradition
Yeah.
that we have in this country. And you want for the gift to be meaningful, and therefore you're asking them, which I do agree with.
But also, I don't necessarily know what, for again, using the same example, what my mom needs.
No, exactly.
And I don't want to get her something useless that she's just going to throw into like, you know, a closet somewhere and it'll get dust and all that.
And
stuff.
see, so I'll add this to it, and I do the exact same thing. So I'm going to give the criticism that I give myself, which is that if my mother, and I know you feel this way too, if my mother needs something, I will get it for her in fucking May.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll get it
exactly.
for her in
Yeah.
February. I'll get it for her any fucking day out of the goddamn year. Christmas has nothing to do with it.
I understand
and so-
that. And
yeah.
usually what my mom needs is my manual labor.
Yes.
Which I provide that.
Yes.
But this is the one time of year where manual labor is not a Christmas gift because she gets that for free all year round.
Oh, yes.
No. I wish your mother was Jewish.
I think I've already made this joke on the podcast, but at one point a couple years ago, I have made the joke that she is. So for your mom, she isn't a Jewish mother. She's taken a darker territory, and my mom is actually like the stereotypical Jewish mother. So
in some ways.
In some ways,
and so one year, instead of getting her, because she was like, "Give me a gift card for Lowe's," because she likes to do like the do-it-yourself projects every once in a while. Instead of saying Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas, it said Happy Hanukkah.
That's awesome.
I'm fairly lucky that my mom doesn't, and this is truly not intentional, but like I can tell when she likes something. It's usually something cheap and easy, and then like I'll get it for her and give it to her. My dad's easy too because he ruins tools like a motherfucker.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah.
And so I just replace whatever tool he ruined doing whatever, and it's not that big of a deal. I don't have to ask. And like I would have to ask with my brother and sister, and that's why we just agreed to not do it anymore.
Yeah,
like, we're
it's a better way to do it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. If you need something, as far as I'm concerned, once again, it's that if you're somebody where we're close enough like that, it goes for you guys, for my mother, for my sister, who the fuck ever. If you need something and I'm not already aware of it, then by all means, you can just say that thing, and I'm going to go and do that thing for you. And beyond that, it's merely an expression. Yeah. And I only do it for my mother because I feel like that's, I don't know, for whatever reason, which is actually, for me, that's actually interesting now that I'm thinking about it, where it's like that's a particular relationship where I kind of like single that one out and feel the necessity to give the tangible
For
gift.
me, it's a necessity because I can't get them to stop giving me gifts. And so there is a weird thing in my head.
He's a big gift giver. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
And it drives me nuts. And it's a point of contention. Not like it doesn't really affect anything in a negative way, but like.
He says that, but.
Well, but it's like, I also, because like my siblings and I, like I said, we have an agreement. Don't even have to worry about it.
I had an agreement too once.
I know.
I could just picture as you looked off into the distance, you could just hear like a hum as you go into your flashback of South Vietnam.
Oh my God, it's real like that. Yeah.
But like, I guess for me, like, I've only really thought about this having this conversation right here. But it's like, I guess there's like, well, if you keep giving me this fucking shit, and I want it. It's like this tit for tat thing. And like, I love my parents, and I get them. If I see something during the year, I give it to them. And it's like. I don't know. It's a tit for tat. It's my own weird mental thing about it.
I will say, and I rarely give him a compliment, but my brother gave me a good reaction that he always has every single year, because I think that internally he probably has the same discomfort with receiving a gift as I do. Yeah. I'm like an awkward gift receiver. Yeah. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Right. Like I'm not supposed to be like, how excited should I be? Yeah. Because like if you hand me something, I'm just like, oh, neat, thank you. And like it could be awesome or it could be garbage, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to do because I got a bit of that tism. Yeah. But Ed's got he's narrowed it down to this very specific trope that he does every single time, and I do really like it. Where as soon as he's handed it a gift on Christmas, and typically my mother handing it to him.
The funny thing is, I can just envision Ed.
He gets so over the top excited, and it's very fake. He gets very excited and he goes, "Oh, baseball stuff." We've never played baseball. Not a thing in our family. And it's just like it's so obnoxious but delightful at the same time. And like it seems like mom doesn't even hear him.
No, not.
He just like continues through the motion.
That frequency,
so maybe I'm the only one that sees it.
That frequency's been tuned out a long time ago.
Exactly. Yeah. But it kind of encapsulates like that idea of what I love about it is that and this is what I hate about the gift giving ritual. That's what it is. It's a fucking ritual where it's like that you're supposed to react a certain way. And it's just like, you handed me a thing. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, Dan. And now I will place it down and continue to do the thing that I was doing before you handed me that. Like, I don't really need to give you a reaction, but you clearly want me to react a certain way of like jubilation,
So here's another thing.
I didn't know. It's a baseball mitt, Dan. Yeah, how did you know? Are we going to play a game of catch?
Yeah. So like here's another thing. So like obviously I can't stop my mom from like buying me shit. But like, she'll buy it for me months ahead of time, and then immediately tell me this is what you're getting for Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, like I'm sorry, but like I can't do like this show.
Yeah.
And I'm already mad that you got me something.
Yeah, I find it difficult to not be. I love my mother so much,
Yeah.
but I find it difficult to not get frustrated sometimes. I love her. She got this is a little side note.
Yeah.
I know that I didn't share this with either one of you. I think that Nicolette was the only one who knew it. But my mother got me. She really like made a spectacle out of it. So she gives us Christmas ornaments every year.
Yeah.
Like a single. We each get a single. Me and my siblings. We each get a single Christmas ornament.
We have a similar tradition in our family.
All right.
Yeah.
So she hands me this one, and she's like real proud, clearly. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm really gonna like phone in this reaction.
Uh-huh.
And it's normal. Like, don't get me wrong, they're very lovely and what have you. But it's like I open it up, and she normally gets me like nice ones that are like cool, what have you. And I'm like genuinely like, oh wow, that's really neat. You know, this is about as excited as I get. My name's Pete. and I open this up, and it's like this most mundane, like single little like a shitty piece of wood, and it's got an engraving in it. And I look at it, and I'm just like, and I'm thinking all these things to myself. I'm like, wow, this bitch phoned this shit in. She's really losing it in her old age. And I read it, and it says nothing.
Oh.
And then underneath it says, because that's what you wanted. And I look, and I'm like, my eyes like slowly raise up at her, like we're in a fucking like, fucking like movie, and I'm like judging this bitch. And she's just so smug. Like she fucking like nailed it. And I'm like, God damn it, you did. It's like that. I got no response for this.
So it's like with the ornaments I get every year, like my mom, I don't know where the fuck she gets them. They're like that German glass style, like ornate shit, but it's always weird.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate, because if you look at like my Christmas tree, it has the weirdest fucking ornaments on it. One was a glass ornament of a mustard bottle.
Oh, wow.
That's
awesome.
I have several Satan heads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like if you
a lot of judgment here.
if you ever like, and they'll say, because I won't put it to Christmas tree, but Christina will have it done. It might be up right now. I have no idea. Yeah. But like, I have so many of these weird ornaments that are just like, it's literally Satan, mustard, weird mailbox looking thing. It's just like,
well, if you don't bring your work home, what are you doing?
It's fucking impossible. Well, it's just like super weird shit every year, which I appreciate, because like,
you gotta love it.
Anytime that anybody like has come over to my house for the first time and saw the Christmas tree, and they just stare at the ornaments, like, why do you have so many satanic ornaments? I don't know. Ask my mom.
Yeah.
Evidently, she thinks have some affiliation with Satan.
So then, you know what I'll do then?
Yeah.
What I want to chime in with that is that I think that that's perhaps one of the most beautiful parts of this holiday, since I've been shitting on it.
Yeah.
Right. I think that is actually a beautiful part of it, where it's this awkward time of year where we get to experience people that we do love.
Yeah.
We're like, not for nothing, where we kind of, I'll speak for myself. I keep people at arm's length.
Right.
Because I'm a weird and awkward person myself. And so I do that with even the people that I love the most in this world.
Absolutely.
Including my mother. And so I feel like this is that awkward time of year where you're kind of forced a little bit to like really see them, for what they are, and to still love them. And love them.
Yes.
And then you take your breather when January 1st hits and you get wasted with your friends.
Oh, God. Oh, God, it's over for this year.
So you mentioned, speaking of the tism,
oh, Dan, here I am.
the way that I have been able to effectively get back at my mom for always getting me gifts as an adult is I open the gifts in such a methodical way
my God.
where I literally try to
You fucking insane person.
Yes, I know. And this is why I do it. I literally go to each individual like placement of the tape and try to carefully
Dan,
take the
I
tape
already know
off.
what you're saying. I love that you like this is
I have tried
I love that I love your family, so I already know how you're ending this. I just need to say that I love that you reinforce the insanity that lives within your genome. Because you know that drives your mother crazy.
Yes, I know.
Oh my
and
God.
she is not afraid. It's like, will you just open it?
Yeah.
Will you please just
That's
open the
great.
gift?
Oh
and
my
I'm
God,
like,
your
no,
poor mother.
I'm trying to do this thing.
All this work
right.
went into this wrapping.
Yeah.
And if I do it too fast, I might get a paper cut.
I'm trying. Actually, the way I do it, I'm probably going to get a paper cut.
Running your fingers along the edges.
I'm carefully trying to stealthily remove the tape without damaging the.
You know what you should do? I don't know if you already do this in like total like verbal silence.
Yeah, I
but
do.
Okay, great. So this is perfect then. do exactly what you're doing, and then like fuck it up on purpose, but make it seem like it's an accident, and just be like, "Oh,
Oh
no."
my God.
And then go and get some tape and fix it so that you can open it the right way.
Get a fucking fanny pack with tape and scissors. And you bring
I love this. I hope I remember this.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
We always have our best interests in mind for each other.
I'd also, closing this out, I do want to say too, at least you have a tree, Justin, because
Yeah.
I've had, like, my mom and my aunt have tried to at least like subtly hint, if not force a tree on me. And I don't decorate. I don't do anything. And they're like, "Why? You can't even tell it's Christmas here. Why would you do that?" I'm like, my plan is to not be here all day. Why the hell would I have a tree and decorations?
This is full honesty. If it wasn't for my family, or if it wasn't for Christina, nothing like this would ever happen.
It's not practical to like, oh, I'm gonna hang decorate. Who is that for? It's not for me. I don't want to do that.
Justin, fun idea.
Yeah.
We wait for Dan to we'll wait until he goes up to the city.
Uh-huh.
I talk to Dan pretty often during the day, right?
Yeah.
So we'll wait for him to go up to the city. We kick his fucking door open.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
We break the deadbolt right the fuck off.
Easy.
And then he like gets home and he's freaked the fuck out. It's like a break-in. There's all sorts of shit going on. And then it's just like a single tree branch that we put up
Oh my God.
in a fucking Christmas tree stand. But it's like there's no leaves on it or anything.
Oh,
It's
he will
just-
murder
it's
both
just
of
like
us.
sad. And then like we put up like little, oh, you know what? We get ornaments made of his own face. Of his own face. I think this is great. He's going to come for us, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
My house is fully fortified.
It will.
All right, Dan, forget that.
It will.
That didn't happen. We're
It
doing
will,
this.
It will remind me of how when I returned from Colombia, my mom had redecorated my house.
Oh my God.
Oh my
that's right. Yeah.
That's great. All right, we're getting Dan's mom in on this. We know she's going to be on board.
If you redecorate my house in a Christmassy way, she'll probably be on board. She'll probably just, you don't have to break in. She'll give you the key.
No,
Well, this has been the
Dan, I
Loud and
want to
Drunk-
break in.
This has been the Loud and Drunk podcast.
It's not going to be funny if like you don't show up to your house being like the window smashed and shit.
We've
pay
been
for it, but-
we've been happy to serve you. Look for us in the news.
Yeah, here we go.
Tonight's top story on NJ12.
Violent break-in.
Producer murders entire podcast cast of podcasts you never heard of.
It'll be a great back and forth. We break into his house, he kills us.
What a story.
And if we do get the top headline on NJ12, we're going to clip it and share it on social media. And you can follow us at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Listen, there's a whole lot of links at the description of this episode, so it'll help you to find all of those social media websites. Also, you can find us at loudanddrunk.com. You can catch up on the podcast, check out some cool merch, glassware. Listen, we went above and beyond with
We
the
really
merch.
did.
That's true.
And once Moses is freed from the honeypot,
Yeah.
he will check the email theoretically, and you can harangue him and tell him, hey, how'd you get your head stuck in a honeypot and all of those things.
We know how.
Also, we would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to this podcast, leave us a 5-star review, and if you happen to be listening to this podcast on YouTube and Rumble, you can like it, comment, share, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content. Listen, I know Rumble does not let you know particularly fast when our content is available, but I do know they tell you. It might be a few days later, but, better late than never.
Also, we're going to come at you fast and hard in the new year. You'll get to see our ugly mugs.
Oh, I'm excited for that.
Also, if you're really excited about seeing our ugly mugs, become a Loud and Drunk supporter at patreon.com/Loud and Drunk.
Yeah, please. We'll never financially recover from this.
Where is the Tiger King when we need him?
So for Justin, Moses is currently has his head stuck in a honeypot like Winnie the Pooh.
Y Alejandro.
And Pedro Alejandro, I'm Dan. And until next time, I guess this is our Christmas episode. So
More or less.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
motherfucker.
Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
Nice, Dan. Sounded great.